name's Chris Haliskoe, and I'm here with Joe Carretta, who covered tonight's event of the FUSA Housing Forum. First, let me start off by saying welcome to the show. We are currently on the stage in which 4 administrators sat. Deb Katie sat in this seat, who is the Director of Residence Life. Jason Downer, Associate Director, sat here, while Tom Pellegrino sat where Joe is sitting, and Mark Reed sat to the far left. First off, let me bring Joe on, and what did you think of the overall forum?
You know, I thought it started off good. I thought a lot of important issues were getting out there in the beginning, but then I felt like it turned into basically a Senate, an ability for all the senators to come up and voice their concerns. And I felt that at one point, it was really just almost an attendance list for the senators, because none of the kids got to ask questions. I know I had to go outside and ask Mark Reed during the fire drill for my question. I just got, they were pretty much ignoring it when it wasn't FUSA. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good. I thought Jason Downer was completely unnecessary in the whole thing. I thought Mark Reed spoke a little too much, but, took the floor. I'm trying to still gauge student opinions. I'm not sure because a lot of kids ran out. There was about, I'd say, 200 people here in the beginning.
I would say close to upwards of 200, but you are right. Most of the questions, if not a large majority, were asked by senators, which I thought was a little ironic, considering they've been working on the issue for a long time. This was the first chance that the administration actually had to face these questions. What did you think of the way they kind of handled it?
I thought they sidestepped a lot of the questions, at least until the middle portion of the program, when Mark Reed started answering pretty bluntly. And I think, unfortunately, not really much was solved tonight. I think the questions that the students really cared about, the basically administration turned back. For one example, Spencer Thibodeau asked if, instead of coming to the students after they make plans and getting reactions, that they go to students while they're making the plans, and Mark Reed bluntly told him no, they're not going to do that. Andrew Chapin asked if the kids...
Well, Thibodeau's question was based more along the lines of, should students have to say in these decisions? And Reed said, no, we're not going to let students govern the school, rightfully so. He would be out of a job. On the other hand, he did say we are going to acknowledge student input, but I feel that that question really emphasized the inimportance of this entire forum. While it was questions that led to obvious answers, not much was solved. That said, I think it did open a dialogue, which is a good starting point. I'm glad it happened, but I think it happened a little later in the year than we would have liked. It's approximately 175 days after the actual housing lottery. So, let me ask you this. Where do you think the administrators in FUSA should go from here?
Well, I think FUSA should definitely keep this line of communication that they established open. I feel that nothing bad can come of a constant communication between administrators and FUSA. And I think that what they really have to get into now is they have to start come up with alternatives, because obviously the system isn't working. They have to throw out different ideas, toss it to the students, toss it to the administration, and try to find that one common compromise that's going to work for everyone. Let me ask you this question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you think that a protest would have done more than this?
I think the protest was unnecessary under the grounds, and the reason why FUSA stepped aside was this was what they were aiming at, was a dialogue, in which case a protest wouldn't be needed considering they have a meeting. That said, I think this meeting should have been before the scheduled protest date, so that if they do sidestep questions, you still have the protest in your pocket.
I agree.
I think it's a strategic move by both the administration and FUSA to kind of push it to the side. I think FUSA was a little unable to handle the protest when they proposed it to us earlier in the month of April. So it's a very sticky situation, and it's an issue that they've talked about for a long time. It's just time that, as students, we kind of want a little bit more closure on the OCB issue.
Yeah, I feel like if we're moving at this pace, that no one in presence tonight, besides the administrators, is going to ever see the change enacted by this. And I think last year with the Garden Employment was a great example. That was a complete debacle that the administration simply swept under the rug, and I just don't think FUSA can let that happen with this issue.
There was one question asked tonight about future housing plans on campus, and when will students get to see them? Do you remember?
I think they basically said there is a master plan in the works, but they're not willing to discuss it, which is what we've been getting for the past year. So we're just going to have to wait and see until the administration opens up to us a little bit more.
What do you think about the timing of this forum that was held tonight? I mean, tonight's date is April 22nd. We're late in the second semester, and we're looking at a long summer ahead of us. Do you think they're going to have a problem getting back on the horse in September?
I'm actually pretty confident in Sizer. from talking
I,
with
I
them.
think both Sizer and Lamville, not to cut you off, both Sizer and Lamville do know what they're doing and step into those roles from what I see. I'm sorry, I mean.
No, what he's saying is the complete truth. I think that they're going to stay on it over the summer and that they're going to get back on it in the fall semester. But I don't think the passion from the student body is going to be there because we just got screwed over with housing. Well, not me personally, but the student body did. So I think it might take, unfortunately, until another lottery happens and more kids don't get let off for this issue to be rehashed. There's going to be so much going on in the fall semester. Plus, class 2010, which was in a big question, a lot of us are going abroad. So that's not going to be a big concern as housing because we're not going to be here.
I think a large part of it has to be on the FUSA angle. A lot of leaders that have stepped down have been blamed. Dan Lamandola as well as Andrew Chapin, our columnist, put a lot of blame on Hutch, which resulted in Tim Rich writing a letter putting a lot of blame on himself. I think FUSA is looking at a whole new ballgame with a whole new set of personnel, and it could be the right change for them at the right time. At the same time, they're losing quite a few people in terms of Mike Meehan and Rob Fitzgerald who started this movement. Do you think that energy is going to lose with the new energy coming in? Do you think it's a different perspective, and how are they going to be able to handle it?
I think it's a great perspective coming in. I think that Jeff, especially, is going to be less focused on the image of FUSA with the red hair and the body paint, and more on what he really has to do in there. And I personally don't know Lamandola really well, but he seems like a pretty down-to-earth guy. I really liked his introduction tonight. He brought up a lot of issues, and I noticed that a couple times he actually looked at the administrators while speaking and spoke directly to them, not to the audience, which I think, is a metaphor for what has to happen. We have to start going to them, get in their faces, and ask for change, or else nothing's going to happen.
I think one of the areas where FUSA could capitalize more on is a student opinion, and even one of the questions asked was, what gives the administrators the right to make decisions for us? And I think when the question was asked by a FUSA senator, the real question that should have been is, what gives FUSA the right to make decisions for the students, and how much polling do they do in their student body? And I think that's kind of where they went wrong on this matter in terms of structuring more towards the side of this is exactly what the students want, we know this because of such.
Do you think they should have prepared more prior to the forum?
Definitely. One of the reasons why they couldn't have the forum before the protest, as I was told, was because they wouldn't be prepared to present on it. That said, I don't think they presented officially tonight, but if you've been working on this issue since early November when it started to come up in Senate conversation, how can you not be prepared to present in mid-April?
It's true.
With that said, we're going to now take a look at some of the clips from tonight's forum.
Given that the class of 2009 was treated unfairly in that regard, can we simply release everyone that applied as some sort of retribution for that flaw in the process?
Anyone?
I'll take a shot at this because I have the least direct role in actually reviewing these particular requests. There's been a few definitive statements that the process was flawed and that people were wronged. And I don't necessarily disagree with that word choice, but it's said so absolutely that I think it warrants some reconsideration. Flawed is going to be somewhat in the eye of the beholder, to a certain